Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Kelly Stewart, and we are kicking things off on the gridiron this evening. The South Dakota Corn Showdown Series football game is less than 24 hours away. And before I bring Jay and Tom in to chat about this heated rivalry that's going to be played in about 19-degree weather, let's hear from the coaches heading into tomorrow.
Well, they're a balanced offensive football team led by an experienced quarterback who's a dual threat. And just like last week, our defense has got to start with our ability to slow down their running game, including the quarterback run, which has been an issue for us. And, if we can do that and try to create the same kinds of off-schedule positions in situations that we did last week, we've got a chance to be successful. The other thing is offensively, we're going to have to score points. We're going to have to move the football consistently. We're not going to be able to squander opportunities like we did last week. When we get a chance to put points on the board, we're going to have to do that.
Their offense is geared to the quarterback making plays, and he's doing that. He does a good job of throwing the ball, does a good job of running the ball, and they find ways. Coach Nielson finds ways to attack the weakness of your defense, so we need to change things up and make it tougher on him. Bottom line is we need to score more points than the University of South Dakota. And so we need to handle that up-tempo stuff. We need to get off the field on defense and not worry about the number of plays or the tempo. Our defensive coaches do a good job of preparing our players for that.
All right, now to talk a little more about this rivalry, I am joined by our USD and SDSU gurus, Jay Elsen, Tom Nieman.
Hello, Stewart.
Well, hello, guys. Glad you're here. Anyways, Ron Burgundy over there. But I mentioned it was going to be 19 degrees at kickoff. The feels-like temperature is 6 degrees. What kind of effect is that going to have on each team? I mean, is it an advantage for one team or another? Start with you, Tom.
Well, I don't think it's probably an advantage one way or the other. They're both going to have to play in it. It will have an impact on the game because it's just hard to function when you're frozen, maybe an impact on the kicker. South Dakota State has not played a game at home under 30 degrees, I don't think, in the last 5 years I went back and looked at. They did play at Montana State in the playoffs about 4 years ago, and it was 1 degree. It was a snowstorm, but there was only one turnover in that game, and the final score was 47-40. So I don't think the weather is really going to hold down the score as much as people think.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, you could look at USD as a own team. Certainly they get the opportunity to play inside more than South Dakota State. I mean, there's no really refuting that. But at the same time, they've played a lot of their games outside too, and they have had a bad weather game already out at Youngstown State. It was just miserable conditions, and it didn't go very well for them that night, but I think there was a lot of factors in that. So I don't think what the temperature is necessarily going to have a real dramatic impact. It's more going to come down to execution, as it always does.
All right, I suppose we can talk about the game now. So anyways, records aside, because obviously SDSU looking to get that first round by USD. This is their final game of the season. The last 3 matchups between these two have been decided by 7 points or less. Is it going to be close tomorrow?
You know, I'm going to be surprised if it's 20 points or more. The spread is 20 points coming into now, and that's what it opened up as. That will surprise. It wouldn't shock me, of course, if one team got out, especially if it were South Dakota State, given the way that they have played versus the way that South Dakota has played this season. But I'm much more leaning toward the close or competitive side of things. I think it's going to be an entertaining game.
Yeah, four of the last 5 games have been within 10 points going into the fourth quarter. And South Dakota State, we've talked about this too, it's been really good in the first half of games.
Yeah.
And they put up big points in the first half, but they've done that in these USD games as well, but it hasn't always held up because the Coyotes have come back and made it close.
And just to add a little context to that, in Brookings, the 3 games in Brookings, South Dakota State has outscored USD 49-0 in the first quarter, 62-7 in the first half. Now, granted, last time these two teams met at Data J. Dykow Stadium, it was 7-7 at the half, so maybe wash that one out. But yes, traditionally, at the FCS level, South Dakota State has jumped on the Coyotes early, and USD just has never been able to recover. They've never actually had a lead in Brookings in this series since they moved to Division I.
Well, hearing from both of those coaches, they both mentioned we have to put points on the board. It's going to be, you would think, weather aside, a high-scoring game. South Dakota State is averaging 39 points per game in the Valley. USD is giving up 35. But their defensive performance last week was impressive. Did the Jacks score in the 30s?
Of course, USD picked a good time to play their best. It was their best defensive game of the year,
not even close.
Last week, and basically shutting down Western Illinois. Western Illinois' run game was not that great, but USD almost shut it down totally. But I think the Jacks will get right 230. I just think they will. They're built to score right now. They've averaged 31 points a game in the last 6 games against USD. So I think they will get there, and I think the Jacks are going to score some points.
We've seen teams be able to put some points up and some offense on South Dakota State. Obviously, USD is built as a team that can pile up yardage, pile up points when they're executing well, particularly in the red zone. You heard what Bob Nielsen said. We're going to have to take advantage of every opportunity we get, because if it's going to be a back-and-forth type game, you can't afford a misstep. So if you get inside the 20, you better get 6. You can't settle for 3, and you certainly can't settle for 0 in a game like this.
So with that and USD's offense, with Austin Simmons, who is playing well, a great passer, how do they keep pace with the Jacks?
Well, it's pretty. I mean, it starts with the defense. I mean, you can't let them score every time they have the ball. Try to minimize that running game as best you can. Make them one-dimensional, and keep both phases of your offense running at a high level too. Because the running game has been better. It's not been great, but it has been better here over the last month for USD. Even when they were losing games, it was getting better. And that's going to be a pivotal part of this, because obviously if you run the football well, you make the Jacks respect that a little bit more. You also eat a little bit more clock and limit the amount of time that Taron Christian has with the football, and I think that could be important
and
too.
even if the Jacks do score 30 whatever points, Coyote's got to come back with some big plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been susceptible to that a little bit this year, to giving up big plays, and you'll probably see Simmons connect with Dakari Allen or whoever. Maybe Kai Henry breaks a couple long ones, and you might see a couple of those plays, and that's how I think USD can kind of stay in it with some big plays.
Turnovers too.
Oh, turnovers will be huge. I just think it's one of those games where when you have an opportunity, you have to take advantage of it, because you know that if you make a mistake, they'll take advantage of it.
USD last year was a fumble at the 1-yard line, right on 4th down, when Strebler almost got in. We thought he got in. Everybody thought he got in, but that's one of those opportunities you're talking about that Coyotes come away with no points, and the Jacks go down.
And it's a 3-point game.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much, guys.